We are closing in on a year in this pandemic, but even at this late date, a lot is happening fast with vaccines being approved and starting to be distributed, new strains of the virus apparently being discovered in some countries. There's a lot going on, and joining us now to help us make sense of some of these recent developments is Professor and Director of the Center for Medicine, Health, and Society at Vanderbilt University, as well as the author of Dying of Whiteness, Jonathan Metzl. Welcome back to the program.
Great, thanks so much. It's great to be back.
Glad to have you here. Let's start off with some of the bit more positive news. We've had the Pfizer vaccine has been approved and is starting to be distributed, and there are other vaccines that we're expecting might be approved soon. In terms of the distribution, we've seen some estimates of how fast they can do it, how many people we might expect to get vaccinated. Based on what you've seen about that rollout, do you expect that some of the schedules we're seeing that they're going to be able to keep to it? And how long do you think? We hear very different estimates of regular people who aren't necessarily in the highest risk groups when they might expect that they can start to get vaccinated.
Well, first it's great news that we have 2 treatments at least that conceivably work against the coronavirus. So that's the great news. The vaccine looks effective. I feel very comfortable in its safety. I think we've so far blown the rollout. Personally, I think we didn't plan for this moment. We didn't get the states ready. There was nobody in charge federally, and we didn't order enough of the vaccine. Pfizer had wanted to give us 200 million doses. We only ordered 100 million doses, and so I think that really people are kind of heroically planning on the fly. I think this is going to be playing out over the coming months. Hopefully by March, April, May, June, we'll have an efficient system in place. But I think really we could have been in much stronger position with better planning from the federal government at this point.
And we should remind our audience, as we always try to, that at least with this vaccine, of course, it takes 2 doses to be fully protected. So those 100 million doses don't go, they only go half as far as it seems like they might. In terms of some of the others that are still out there waiting for us to figure out if they're safe and if they'll be approved, how much, based on what you've seen, how much hope do you have that that'll happen relatively soon?
It's not going to impact our short term, and I just want to emphasize, if you don't mind, just one of the points you just made, which is, as this starts to become a reality, as we start to vaccinate, it's vitally important for people to realize that it's a 2-month process to get immunity. You get a first shot, you're still at risk for a month. Then you get a second shot, and it takes another whole month for your body to develop the immune response. So there's a good 2-month period during just the process of getting vaccinated where people are still at risk of getting the coronavirus and passing on the coronavirus. And so I think in addition to the knowledge about the vaccines, the knowledge of how that timeline plays out for the vaccines is going to be super important. But I would say that it's very commendable. I mean, we're a year into this pandemic. The virus itself is mutating, but in response, humanity is developing treatments. I think we're going to see some other kinds of vaccines, some less expensive and easier to transport vaccines coming online. Certainly other kinds of therapeutics are coming. And so, it's kind of a unique situation. We've mobilized as a species against, at least in this one case, a common threat. And so hopefully, even though things are really catastrophic right now in many parts of our country, this is the bottom, and we'll start to see things get better going into the spring.
In terms of that mobilization, I was reading earlier today that some of Biden's scientific aides are saying that they're considering once again invoking the Defense Production Act, as was done earlier in the pandemic for PPE and components for coronavirus tests, to try to expedite the production of the vaccine. Is that something that you think could be helpful? And do you expect that they might go down that road?
This is a complicated vaccine to make. It's not just like you can't just get Groupon to start making vaccines here. Part of the issue is that it's got to be like, it's like Mr. Freeze and not the Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze from the old Batman movies, like really, really cold stuff. And so it just, there aren't that many places that can make this kind of vaccine. Now, I think we really need an all hands on deck, transform everything, transform Mr. Softy trucks, transform anything you can find that can do these, that can basically make this kind of vaccine. I do think that it's important that we get as much vaccine online as possible. And so I would certainly support support the Defense Production Act. It's just important for people to realize that it's hard to actually get the level of just the machinery to make this. Not a lot of places are going to have it.
Okay. And you mentioned that there are now concerns about this new strain of COVID that's apparently more easily transmissible, and that's more easily transmissible than something that is known for how easily transmissible it is. How concerned are you about that? And is it likely, that I was reading today that they think it might be in the US? Is that something that you believe might be the case?
It's TBD with this. I mean, I think the alarm was really that this mutation, really it had over 20 mutations of the prior iteration of the virus, and I think that's a very high number of mutations. And so certainly, I think there was concern about how did this thing change so much, and it does seem to be spreading much more quickly. It's important to note that the United Kingdom has excellent sequencing capacity. They're just all on top of this, and so it's been discovered in the UK, but that doesn't mean it originated in the UK. It could have originated here. It could have originated in South Africa. We don't know. So there's a lot to be determined. I think the key point right now is the defense against this is everybody wear a mask, wash your hands, social distance. It's the same issue. It just heightens the need for even more safety, even more public health measures, because if it is in this country, it would help explain why this thing is going absolutely bonkers in places like California and Tennessee. We haven't seen rates like this, and I'm struggling to make sense why. So possibly that might explain it. But again, no matter what happens, the answer is the same. Wash your hands, wear a mask, social distance, and let's just wait for more vaccine to come.
I certainly agree. And if you are seeing this before the holidays, consider spending them by yourself or just with the immediate people that you're already spending time with. Connecting these two topics though, I know that we don't know for sure. We don't know until it's tested. But in terms of the vaccine and this new strain, do you think that we're back at square one, or is it likely that the vaccine will probably protect against the new strain as well?
It's very likely that the vaccine will protect against this new strain, just because but basically what you do with a vaccine, you're not just targeting one virus, you're stimulating your body's immune system to attack viruses like the coronavirus. And so in a way, what we're doing is we're leaving it up to the body. So I would be shocked if the vaccines weren't equally as effective. But I think the vital point here is this new strain really is quite concerning, just how quickly it's spreading. And so we're months and months away from getting everybody vaccinated. This could be going on until the fall. And in the meantime, having a much more infectious iteration of the virus floating around really is frightening, just because of how much damage can be done before we get that. But I do want to answer your question pretty directly and say that it would really be something catastrophic if the vaccines don't work. I think it's almost certain that the vaccines will still work.
Okay. And we've been covering recently, like we're not even at the point where everyone has access to the vaccine clearly, but when they do, there is going to be some people who don't want to take it for one of a variety of reasons. And we're already seeing misinformation about the vaccine, let alone legitimate, questions or whatever. As someone on the side that you're on in terms of, wanting to make sure that everyone's protected, how significant do you think vaccine misinformation is going to be in fighting against this thing?
Well, it's important that we recognize that there's many different kinds of vaccine misinformation. It certainly is a vital issue, because to end this pandemic, we need herd immunity, which means 75% of people in our country need to be either vaccinated or have the antibodies or the T cell response. And so I don't think you can lump together all kinds of vaccine misinformation. I mean, there's certainly just fears of vaccine and the speed of this vaccine. There's historical apprehension among minoritized communities, for example, because of just the horrible history of what's been done in the name of science. And then there's kind of anti-vaccines. And so all those are going to require different strategies. I personally feel very optimistic about this vaccine. And believe it or not, in a country like ours, the fact that there, at least initially, is not going to be enough to go around. Just given our capitalist society, it might spur a kind of Beanie Baby kind of phenomenon or something where people will be having the opposite effect. So we'll have to see how this plays out. But it's important. It's not the flu vaccine where you can get it 6 times when you walk out your door. There's going to be a real shortage of this vaccine, and so I think on one hand it's going to be how do we distribute the vaccine? Who gets it first and second and third? And the other part is when we think about vaccine resistance or trepidation, just to recognize that there are different iterations of that and make sure that you address those differently because they're not all coming from the same place.
Yeah. Well, certainly as we get farther down the line and people actually start to get access to it, I would love to have you back on to give me ideas of, as a member of the media, what I can do to hopefully fight back against a little bit of this. But for now, we do appreciate you joining us and breaking down some of the most recent developments. It really does help.
Thanks so much.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.